My stepchildren told me to know my place in their house, so I knew exactly where I belonged, gone, along with my financial contributions. You know what I used to believe? That love could eventually earn you respect. That if you gave enough of yourself, your time, your energy, your money, people would finally see you as family. But some people will drink from your well for years and still complain the water isn't cold enough. My name's Jude. I'm 41, a master plumber by trade, and I thought I was building a blended family. Turns out I was just funding a cast of ungrateful freeloaders who treated me like a walking ATM with a wrench set. This is the story of how 3 stepchildren taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Let me take you back 8 years ago when this nightmare began. I met Vanessa when I was 33. She was 31, divorced with 3 kids. Carson, 13, Brielle, 11, and Ava, 9. Looking back, I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe because Vanessa was one of those women who could command a room just by walking into it. Confident, sharp, and had this energy that made you feel like you were the only person in the world when she focused on you. At the time, I was renting a decent 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Portland and saving up to buy a house. Vanessa and her kids were crammed into a tiny duplex that was falling apart. The landlord wouldn't fix anything, and her ex-husband Blake was 4 months behind on child support again. After we'd been dating for 10 months, I made what I thought was a romantic gesture. I found a beautiful 4-bedroom colonial in the Riverside School District and suggested we move in together. I'd cover the down payment and mortgage. She'd handle groceries and household stuff. We'd be a team. The kids seemed excited about having their own rooms, a big backyard, and a finished basement with a pool table. I spent weeks setting everything up. A gaming setup for Carson, a craft room for Brielle, and a cozy reading nook for Ava. I wanted them to feel like this was their home too. And for the first year things were good. Really good. I wasn't trying to replace their dad. Blake saw them every other weekend when he felt like it, but I was present. School pickups when Vanessa worked late, homework help, driving them to soccer practice and sleepovers. I fixed their bikes, taught Carson basic plumbing skills, and helped Brielle with her science fair projects. I genuinely loved those kids and I thought they were starting to love me back. But somewhere around year 2, something shifted and I was about to learn that some foundations are built on quicksand. It started small. Carson would forget to say thank you when I bought him something. Brielle would roll her eyes when I tried to help with homework. Ava started calling me Jude instead of the nickname Jay she'd been using. Vanessa noticed too. They're just testing boundaries, she said. All kids do it with step-parents. They'll grow out of it. Except they didn't grow out of it. They grew into it. By year 3, the disrespect was obvious. When people asked about their family, they'd say, "It's me, my mom, my brother, and my sister." I was invisible. At Carson's soccer games, he'd introduce Vanessa as my mom and ignore me entirely, even though I was the one who'd been driving him to practice 3 times a week for 2 years. But I kept giving. Brielle wanted to join the expensive art academy downtown. I wrote the check. Ava needed a reading specialist. I found the best one in Portland and paid for weekly sessions. Carson's Honda Civic broke down. I spent my entire Saturday rebuilding the engine for free. And what did I get in return? Eye rolls. Sighs. Whatever, Jude. Vanessa started making excuses for them. They're teenagers. They're dealing with divorce trauma. Blake fills their heads with nonsense about you. But Blake was barely around. He'd canceled so many weekends that the kids had stopped expecting him. I was the one showing up. I was the one they depended on. But apparently that made me the hired help, not family. Things escalated when Vanessa's mother visited for Thanksgiving. During dinner, Ava announced, "Jude's not really family. He's more like mom's helper." The whole table went silent. Vanessa's mother looked embarrassed. Vanessa said nothing. That night I couldn't sleep. I realized I'd been fooling myself for years. These kids didn't see me as a father figure. They saw me as a resource, a convenient wallet that fixed things and drove them places. The breaking point came during Christmas shopping. I'd spent $800 on each kid trying to make their holiday special. Carson opened his new gaming laptop and immediately complained it wasn't the exact model he wanted. Brielle looked at her art supplies and said, "I guess this is okay." Ava opened her book set and asked if I kept the receipts. That's when Vanessa pulled me aside and said the words that should have ended it all. "You're trying too hard." They can sense desperation. Desperation? For wanting to be treated like family in my own home? But I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. I had no idea the worst was still coming. Things came to a head when Vanessa and I got married 2 years ago. I thought maybe making it official would change things. I learned the hard way that it never does. I felt that the kids would see me as a permanent part of their lives, not just mom's boyfriend. I even asked Carson to be my best man. He said yes, but I could tell he wasn't enthusiastic. The wedding was small but beautiful. Vanessa looked stunning in her vintage lace dress. The kids participated, but it felt more like they were going through the motions. During the reception at the Riverside Country Club, I overheard Brielle talking to her cousin. "Yeah, Mom married Jude. He pays for everything, so I guess it makes sense. Not, we love him, or he's good to us. Just, he pays for everything." That should have been my wake-up call, but I was still hopeful. After the honeymoon in Hawaii, I suggested we all sit down and talk about what being a blended family meant. Ground rules, expectations, respect. Carson cut me off mid-sentence. "Dude, just because you married our mom doesn't mean you're our dad. You need to understand that." Brielle nodded. "Yeah, Blake is our dad. You're just Jude." Ava, whom I thought was closest to me, delivered the killing blow. "You're nice and everything, but you're not really family. You're more like mom's assistant." Vanessa just sat there. Said nothing. Didn't defend me, didn't correct them, didn't establish any boundaries. Just uncomfortable silence. That night, lying in bed next to my new wife, I felt more alone than I ever had as a bachelor. I'd married into a family that saw me as an outsider. The worst part? Vanessa seemed okay with it. Over the next few months, things got worse. The kids started treating me like live-in help. "Jude, can you drive me to Ashley's house?" "Jude, my bathroom sink is clogged." "Jude, I need money for the movies." Never please. Never thank you. Just demands and expectations. I started documenting everything. Every bill I paid, every expense I covered, every service I provided. The mortgage, utilities, groceries, car insurance for Carson, art classes for Brielle, tutoring for Ava, clothes, phones, streaming services, everything. The total was staggering. Over the past 6 years, I had spent almost $350,000 on this family. That didn't include the house down payment or my time and labor. But I wasn't ready to give up. I kept thinking if I just tried harder, gave more, loved deeper, they'd eventually accept me. Until 3 months ago when I overheard the conversation that changed everything. I come home early from a job site in Beaverton to grab some tools I'd forgotten. The kids didn't hear me come in. They were in the kitchen making after-school snacks, mac and cheese and Hot Pockets. "Carson, Jude thinks he's our dad or something. It's honestly embarrassing." "Brielle, I know, right? Like, dude, you're not special. You just married our mom." "Ava, he acts like he owns this house or something. Like, we should be grateful he exists." "Carson, he needs to know his place. This is our house, our family. He's just the guy who pays the bills." "Brielle, exactly. He's lucky mom lets him stick around. Most divorced moms wouldn't put up with some random guy trying to play daddy." "Ava, he's so desperate for us to like him. It's actually pathetic." And then they all laughed. Not cruel laughter, just casual amusement. Like I was a joke they shared. I stood there in my own hallway in the house I was paying for, listening to kids I'd raised for 6 years talk about me like I was some pathetic charity case they were forced to tolerate. That's when something inside me died. Not broke, died. I quietly went back to my truck and drove around Lake Oswego for 2 hours thinking. When I came back, I acted completely normal. Had dinner, helped Ava with her reading, asked Carson about soccer practice. But inside I was done. Over the next few weeks, I started recording conversations, not to be sneaky but to protect myself. I had a feeling things were about to get ugly. And I was right. Last month, everything exploded during what should have been an ordinary Tuesday dinner. Vanessa was working late at the hospital, so it was just me and the kids. I'd picked up their favorite, Chipotle bowls and quesadillas. I tried to start a conversation. "So, how was everyone's day?" Carson didn't even look up from his phone. "Fine." "Carson, can you put the phone down during dinner? We're trying to talk." He finally looked at me and his expression was pure disdain. You're not my dad. You don't get to tell me what to do. The words that would end it all were coming. Brielle jumped in immediately. Yeah, Jude. Just because you live here doesn't mean you make the rules. And then Ava, sweet little Ava, said the words that ended it all. This isn't even your house. It's ours. You need to remember your place. I set down my fork very carefully. My place. Carson smirked. Yeah, Mom's husband. That's it. You don't get to parent us or act like you're in charge. Brielle nodded. We have a dad. We don't need another one. Especially not one who tries so hard. This is our family, Ava added. You're just here. I looked around the table at these 3 kids I'd loved, supported, and sacrificed for. Kids who were telling me I didn't belong in the house I was paying for, in the family I'd been building for 6 years. You're right, I said quietly. I do need to know my place. I stood up, went to my office, and printed out every financial document from the past 6 years. Bank statements, mortgage payments, utility bills, receipts, everything. Then I called my lawyer, Tom Henderson. When Vanessa came home that night, I was waiting with the binders. We need to talk, I said. She could tell something was wrong. What's going on? I played her the recording from that afternoon, the kids telling me I wasn't family, that this wasn't my house, that I needed to know my place. Her face went white. Jude, they're just kids. Teenagers going through a phase. I interrupted. Vanessa, they've been telling me I'm not family for years. You've heard it? And you've never once defended me or corrected them. She started to argue, but I held up my hand. I'm done. I've spent 6 years trying to earn respect from people who see me as a walking credit card. I've paid for everything, shown up for everything, and gotten nothing but disrespect in return. I slid the binders across the table. These are copies of every expense I've covered. The house, the utilities, their clothes, their activities, their everything. $350,000 over 6 years, not including my time, my effort, my love. Vanessa was crying now. Jude, please. I'm selling my half of the house. You can buy me out or find somewhere else to live. The utilities are being transferred to your name. I'm removing myself from everything. Insurance, phone plans, streaming services, all of it. You can't just abandon us. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm respecting their wishes. The reckoning was about to begin. They don't want me to act like family. Fine. They don't want me making rules in their house. Fine. They want to know my place? My place is somewhere I'm actually wanted. The next few days were chaos. The kids suddenly realized what Jude just pays for everything actually meant when the Wi-Fi got cut off, when Carson's car insurance lapsed, and when Brielle's art classes got canceled for non-payment. Carson was the first to crack. Dude, this is crazy. We didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. And that's okay. Your real dad can handle all of this now. Brielle tried tears. Please don't leave us. We're sorry. Sorry for what exactly? For years of disrespect? For telling me I'm not family? Or just sorry that your free ride is ending? Ava, whom I'd always been closest to, broke my heart one last time. I didn't know you were keeping track of money. That's kind of mean. Even in her apology, she was making me the bad guy. Vanessa begged, pleaded, promised things would change. But 6 years of patterns don't change overnight. And I was exhausted from trying to love people who saw that love as weakness. I moved out 2 weeks later into a nice apartment in the Pearl District. Just me, my tools, and my peace of mind. The house sold quickly. Vanessa couldn't afford the $3,200 monthly mortgage on her nurse's salary. She and the kids moved in with her sister in Gresham. Blake, the real dad, suddenly became very busy whenever they needed anything. I got a few letters from the kids over the next few months. Carson wrote that he didn't realize how much I did. Brielle said she took me for granted. Ava sent a drawing with "I'm sorry" written in purple crayon. But none of them could articulate what they were actually sorry for. They were sorry I left. They weren't sorry for how they treated me. I didn't respond to any of the letters. 6 months later, Vanessa texted me, "Blake can't handle them. Carson is failing junior year. Brielle quit art. Ava cries every night. They need stability. They need you." I texted back. They made it very clear I wasn't their family. Nothing's changed. She tried calling for weeks. I blocked the number. Because here's what I learned. You can't love someone into respecting you. You can't sacrifice your way into matching. And you can't buy a place in someone's heart. But my story wasn't over yet. Those kids had two fathers. One who chose to be absent and one who chose to give them everything. They chose DNA over devotion. So I chose myself. A year later, I met Amanda at a coffee shop in Northwest Portland. She's a librarian, divorced, no kids. She treats me like I'm the most important person in her world. We're getting married next spring at Multnomah Falls. Sometimes I see Vanessa at Whole Foods. She looks tired and stressed. We nod politely but don't talk. I heard through mutual friends that Carson dropped out of high school and is working at a warehouse in Tigard. Brielle is working at McDonald's and living at home. Ava is struggling academically and seeing a counselor. Do I feel bad? Sometimes. But I also remember that 12-year-old Ava telling me I needed to know my place in the house I was paying for. I knew my place all right. It was anywhere but there. Last week I got a call from an unknown number. It was Carson, now 19. Jude? It's Carson. I wanted to apologize. For real this time. I understand now what you did for us. What we lost. For a moment, my heart softened. Then he continued. Mom's struggling. We all are. Blake hasn't paid child support in 8 months. I was wondering, maybe we could meet for coffee? Talk about things? I took a deep breath. Carson, I appreciate the call. I really do. But I'm not your backup plan. I'm not the safety net you come back to when your real dad fails you again. But Jude, I'm sorry for what you're going through. I truly am. But you made your choice 6 years ago. All of you did. You chose to see me as an outsider, as hired help, as someone who needed to know his place. Well, I knew my place. And it wasn't with people who saw my love as weakness and my generosity as an obligation. I hung up before he could respond. So, was I wrong for walking away from 3 kids who spent 6 years telling me I wasn't their family? For letting their real dad handle the consequences? For choosing my own happiness over their convenience? I don't think so. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop enabling someone's worst behavior, even if it means walking away from people you genuinely cared about. The kids learned that just Jude was actually the foundation their whole world was built on. Too bad they figured that out after the foundation was gone. My name is Jude and I finally know my place, with someone who values me, respects me, and sees me as family from day one.